And today I'm going to be talking about the 4 containers that you need to be organized. Thank you, Andrea. Yes, and this information is in both of the courses, although it's in Work the Plan. Thanks, Don. In Work the Plan, it walks through setting these containers up and really making them usable and practical and helpful in your life, because our life as moms is just different from businessmen, from people who have an office where they can close the door and put their phone on hold. Like, we can't do that. We have to be able to get up and respond to people in the moment of whatever is going on. We have to be able to be flexible and adaptable, but we still need to be organized. We can't just fly by the seat of our pants and let our kids dictate everything in our day, right? We should be guiding and directing somehow, and that means that we need to know what direction we're guiding and leading people. So the 4 containers are they're more like metaphorical containers. Or, or that. They're not like plastic bins. I will talk about the difference in a little bit. Thanks, Carrie. So the 4 containers are places. They aren't, just the plastic bins, but they're places that you need to have set up because you have things coming at you. You have information, you have details, and 1, you need to know where it goes when it comes at you, and 2, you need to know where it's going to be when you need it. So, for example, the first container that you need is a calendar. A calendar is a placeholder. It's a holder, a container of dates, of appointments. And you need all of your appointments, every single appointment, every single place you need to be at a certain time, or anything tied to a certain time, even if it's not a place. Maybe it's an online class that your child is enrolled in or something like that. Anything that's tied to a certain date and time and has to happen at a certain date and time should be on your calendar. And if you have 1 calendar and all your appointments are on it, even if you think, I don't have that many appointments, so I don't really need a calendar to keep track of it all. You do, because you're going to forget. And so you have to have a calendar, 1 calendar, 1 place, so you don't have to go looking at which calendar did I put that on. You have to have 1 master calendar, even if you keep others updated. 1 master calendar that is accurate, and it has to have all your appointments on it. There can't be something, and I'm just going to remember this one other thing. Just put everything on it. It simplifies life so much to just put things on that calendar. And then, of course, look at it. That's the real trick, isn't it? You have to have the calendar, put the things on it, and look at it. And that's true of all the containers. So the first container that you need to put things into right away and that you need to look at daily is your calendar. And the second is a task list. So these are all the different things that you have rolling around in your head. Like I should do this, that, or the other thing. I need to make cookies before I have cookie duty at church on Sunday. I need to, there are all these things that we have to do. My son is having tonsillectomy next week. So I have a to-do list that's taking him to the lab and filling his prescriptions, things like that. These things have to be done, but they don't have to be done at a certain day or time. They're not appointments, but they're things that have to be done. They do have a due date, most of them. And so we need to have a task list, and that's where we put those things that we have to do so that we can review what we have to do, so that we can find them. We don't have to if we hold them in our head, then, we're just not going to remember at the right time. We need to have them written down so that we can review it outside of our head. That's great. When we need to, on our agenda time, instead of having things, pop up into our heads while we're in the shower and can't do anything about it. We need to have them written down so that we can evaluate them. And yes, a bullet journal is a great way to do that, especially because, it doesn't have to be a super rigid thing. Just think of the task list as a container. It doesn't have to have a whole bunch of rules and a certain layout or anything. It can just be basically a brain dump. It can be just a plain list in a notebook. The important thing is just having one place where you know those things are going to be and then reviewing it. So when a task that you have to do comes at you, you put it there. Instead of trying to keep it here, you put it in the container. And then when it's time to figure out what am I going to do today, you just look down your list of tasks and pick the ones that three, max three, that you're going to try to do that day. And that's it. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be outside of your head and written on paper. The third is a place to keep notes and information, kind of reference, note-taking ideas. So you have the first is the calendar, the second is your task list, and the third is your note-taking place. And if you're doing something like bullet journaling, then your notes and information container might be the same container, the same notebook as your task list. And that's great. You just need to have a designated place where you should put your notes and your information and all of that sort of thing. So you can keep them in the same place, but you do have to have a place for them. I do things digitally, so I do have a task management app, and then I use Evernote for information and notes and that sort of thing. So I do keep them separate myself, but they can be in the same planner, as long as you have a place where you're keeping those notes and information so that when you need a piece of information, you can go get it. And then the fourth and final thing that you need is an inbox. And it might be that your task list and your note taking place has an inbox place. An inbox is really just a catch-all. And things come into it and get put into it, just like your mailbox is kind of like an inbox because the mail is delivered to it. It's unsorted. It just arrives, and that's where it goes when it arrives. Same with the email inbox. The email comes into your inbox, but just like the mailbox, the inbox should not be a place where things live. It's just where things land, and then you can deal with them from there. So when, the mail is delivered and you have some junk, some bills, some things to do, and you can't deal with it right then, you put it in the inbox, knowing that you're going to deal with it sometime. It's not just sitting on the counter or it gets put in any old random place and then you lose it. Yay! Hey, Christy! If you have one place where the things coming in can land, then you can deal with them when you have time to deal with them, and you don't have to be afraid of losing it, losing that piece of information, losing that task thing, the form that you have to fill out and take with you. If you have an inbox place, so there should be at least one physical inbox for the real, mail, permission slip, paperwork. Right now I have hospital paperwork. I bet Christy does too. Of things that you have to do, that you can't lose those papers, and you don't want them to just be any old random place. You need one place for those things to land until you can deal with it. So these are all of these containers are just homes where things can go. So if you think of anything that's incoming to you, whether it's an idea in your own head, a task, a phone call where you have to do something with that information you just got, whatever all those incoming balls are, these different containers are like baskets that you can then toss the ball. So the containers are calendar, so that if you have an incoming appointment ball, you toss it into the calendar basket. Then a task list, which doesn't have to be anything fancy. It just has to be one place where you can keep, bye Dawn, all those things that you have to do so that you can reference it and pull out what needs to be done today. So container 2 is the task list where you can throw those task balls into. The third is a note taking or information, kind of think of it as a file cabinet, whether it's a binder or a folder or an actual filing cabinet or Evernote, some place where information goes to be kept. So you can, if you get those immunization records, the manual for all the new things, that is the container you toss those balls into. And then the fourth is the inbox, where things come in that you need to deal with, but you can't deal with right now. You put them in the inbox so that you can take care of them when you do have time to take care of things. And of course, all of these places have to be looked at and maintained, or else they're not going to work. They don't just work automatically, unfortunately. You can't just toss the balls in there and then never use it, never look at it, never empty it, and have it actually be working for you, unfortunately. So that's where the weekly review comes in, and an evening review. And those are the times where you go through these different containers and you keep those things front of mind, and you have a time where you're going to see them, because a lot of times the stress that we have is really from fearing that we are going to lose the piece of information or lose the piece of paper. We know that if things aren't in a place where we can find them, and if we don't have time reserved to go through them, then things are going to fall through the cracks. And that's stressful, and that's a big piece of even subconscious stress and anxiety that we can carry around with us. The note-taking container is different from the inbox container in that, so my Evernote is my note container. And within Evernote, I have an inbox folder or notebook. You can think of anything in an inbox is unsorted. It still has to be dealt with. Whereas things in the note-taking container are like filed away. They're put away. So things landing in the inbox need to be dealt with and filed. So having an inbox is one way to just get things into your storage container without having to feel like you have to do it in the perfect, orderly, organized way immediately. You can just toss it in the inbox and then go through and sort it into the right place later. So it makes it much more likely to use, it makes you much more likely to actually use your container.